Today, Liss and I are going to explore the concept of holding the space.
Hi, and welcome to Light for Life. If you are returning to our channel, thank you. We value and appreciate you. Our aim is to shine a bright light on your inner splendor and assist to connect you to your magnificence via what we intend to be enlightened sharing, potentially educational, and hopefully entertaining information, as well as encouragement for new perspectives. If you are new here, you are most welcome. We do hope that you will find our content highly beneficial and enjoyable. I am Liss. I'm a science of mind practitioner and a teacher of various healing modalities applicable to all aspects of the self and this life.
And I am Lori. I am a holistic wellness researcher and educator. Welcome to Connections with Liss and Lori. We use the space to offer our perspective regarding multiple different topics that we certainly hope you find inspiring. What does it mean to hold space? What does it mean to hold space for someone else? Probably a topic that people have heard now and again, but might not completely really get what that means. And for me, it's spiritually, mentally, and emotionally creating an environment to best support not only myself, but others in any interactions, really. It doesn't necessarily have to be a healing session or a healing space, but for me, it's a practice that I try. I'm not perfect, but I do try to carry with me everywhere I go. And it really is about just a non-judgmental thought involved, really setting aside everything I think, everything I believe, and just really bringing the divinity down into my life and into my world and into my actions and interactions with others. It's a very compassionate space, I would hope. I don't have any preconceived notions of others. I don't have expectation of others. I do try to set judgment aside and just have a really neutral, calming, peaceful space when I'm at work, when I'm at play, when I'm doing things like this. It's just, for me, it's an environment that I enjoy and that I feel others will probably enjoy, especially if others are coming to me for healing. And it's critical to create an environment for them to feel safe and cared for and loved.
Absolutely, yes. Everything that you've just described is holding space in its most positive possible way. There is, believe it or not, a negative side to holding space. And I'll elaborate on that a little just now. But for now, I saw probably about a week ago a video on TikTok by a creator who calls himself Hi Out There, It's Me, Steve, which I think is just awesome. And this video is the most succinct and perfect example of holding space that I've ever seen. I'm not sure if he is on other platforms, but if you have TikTok, I can honestly say, find Hi Out There, It's Me, Steve, and have a look at his holding space video. And essentially what he did was he sat himself down in front of the camera and he was like, hey, how you doing? And then he was just quiet. And slowly his facial expressions start changing. And he goes, mm-hmm. Oh. Well, I just wanted to check in. And you look great, by the way. And that was it. And it's had millions of views because it literally speaks right to your heart.
Yeah.
His presence, the empathy and compassion that he is able to hold as he's looking into the lens of a camera, and yet you feel him connecting to you.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing. So I was like, I'm going to tell our audience about this, and it'll be like, all right, everybody, bye-bye, we're done. That's what holding space is. It's just utterly perfect. Yeah. But Laurie, there is a negative way of holding space. As beautiful as that concept sounds, and indeed can be, that presence and that allowance, holding space has also become what another content creator that I really love, Richard Grannon, refers to as the psychologization
Mm,
of society, where everybody is walking around playing therapist.
yeah.
We have psychologized absolutely everything. Every relationship, every exchange, every dynamic, every ideology, everything has been psychologized to where now, especially with moral relativism, nothing is ever just right or wrong. Nothing is ever just not okay anymore. Everybody's boundaries have become so flexible because we're all out here seeking to understand. You know, some guy murders some woman and everyone's like, I wonder why. What trauma must he have had when he grew up? Why is that any of our business? None of us are psychologists. It's not our responsibility or our job to understand what his trauma might have been or what could have motivated this deed. That is just wrong. It's a violation.
Yeah.
So, like with all things in life, there has to be a balance between what we're willing to hold space for and what we're not. It shouldn't be.
And my first word that comes to mind is boundaries. I did leave that out of the part that I was talking about before. Boundaries are always important when even, when we enter into space with anyone. I think boundaries are important, right? We can't, like you said, we can't allow others to violate us because we've created a calm and peaceful space for them to perhaps explore some of their traumas. We can't be a punching bag while we're holding space for someone. So you're
Yeah.
right. There's a line, as with everything,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
between an environment that's conducive of actual healing and an environment that's conducive of granting a permission slip for literally everything.
Yeah.
There doesn't have to be an excuse for literally everything. If the behavior is bad, it's bad behavior. Yeah.
Exactly. 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 And you know, Laurie, there is a difference between empathizing with where someone is and validating that, and coming from an agony auntie, let me give you my advice,
Yeah.
that is essentially speaking into their lives, not necessarily with permission. And, you know, fridge magnet philosophizing
Mhm.
everything in life. I can hear you and how you feel and what you think and validate that for you. I can have compassion for where you find yourself. I can hold space and keep my advice to myself. But so much of what I do with the connections I work with, honestly, is confronting. Because tea and sympathy you can get from your hubby, your best friend, and your mum. If you've come to me, you've come to me to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm going to do. And 99.99% of the time, the problem is you.
Mhm.
It's not the other person and what they did. It's not what happened. It's not the consequences of that. It's not anything external to how you are conceptualizing and framing this experience for yourself. So I can hold a non-judgmental space. But if you want to work with me to fix the problem, then you're going to have to be open to being confronted with things that are initially pretty uncomfortable. And I think for most people, that's why healing seems elusive.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment something is confronting, the moment something requires me to take personal responsibility for fixing this myself, I'm going to deflect it. I'm going to push it away because I'm holding resistance against my own power. So it's not easy being the vessel or the mechanism of that confrontation. It's also not easy to hold space without judgment for someone who is not ready for what you could potentially confront them with, because none of us have the right to speak into anyone's journey who has not explicitly invited us to do so.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where it gets really tricky with our families, right? With the ones that we love the most. It gets so tricky because we know if they just do XYZ, they're going to feel so much better. But
Yeah,
like you said, we can't overlay what we see and kind of force it on someone who might not have any idea what we're talking about. So there's no way that they can possibly use that information for the betterment of themselves. And that's where I think
exactly.
you do a beautiful job when you work with others, because you find a way to empower them to want to make that change without them even really knowing that they have a change to make. And it's, you know,
Thank you.
it's one of the things that I've tried to do for many years too, because I'm no different than anyone else. My mom has been one of the greatest gifts in my life because I I have watched her my whole life, and I have chosen not to do anything that she has chosen, and I've had to be okay with the choices that she has made. But it,
Mm.
for me, it's been a launching pad to do something different, to try something other than what has already been tried, and to really want to find the answers behind why I feel this way. So in that respect, she has empowered me, even though she has no idea that she's empowered
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
because it she has inspired change. And I really think that's really what empowerment is all about, is we've tried to find ways to inspire others to want to create change in their life. Sometimes really
Mm.
crafty without them even knowing it, but not being manipulative about it, not playing psychologist about it, not manipulating someone into thinking XYZ. It's, for
Yeah,
me, it's about asking questions,
yeah,
constantly asking questions. I've seen so many people, and we're talking high level people, famous people, telling others what they're feeling and what they're thinking and what they have to do. And
yeah,
and whoa, cancel,
yeah.
new channel, delete, scroll. I cannot embrace anybody telling, starting a sentence with you, no, no,
Mm.
you need to, no, no,
Yeah.
no. It's really got to be an exploration, in my opinion, into
Yes.
what is driving the underlying problem.
That's the thing, honey. Consciousness is never going to be able to receive where it's not vibrating.
Yeah,
People cannot, literally cannot connect where they're not at.
yeah,
So, what we can do for one another in terms of serving love and light is to assist consciousness to shift to where it could
yeah,
receive. And the only way to do that is for that person to do that for themselves.
Yeah.
So yes, leading questions are a gift of love. And learning how to ask those questions from a place of genuine concern and curiosity. Let me ask this question and be curious about what their answer is actually going to be. And to apply that to myself as well.
Yeah.
To bring those questions to myself with a sense of curiosity is, I wonder how my consciousness is actually going to answer this question. Get genuinely curious about it, because that is how we uncover things for ourselves and empower ourselves more. Get curious. I wonder why I've always done this. Or I wonder why I react this way. Or I wonder why this has always been like that in my life. Wherever there's a pattern, wherever there's a repetition, questions are begging to be asked.
Yes. I couldn't agree more. There's so many times in my life I have asked, why am I like this? Why do I keep doing this? Why, why? I joke that I am queen of questions. I know I'm not the only queen of questions, but it's true. I do have a lot of questions. But here's the thing, wisdom begins with wonder. And we cannot grow wise if we're not wondering why we keep behaving this way when this happens, or why we keep feeling this way when this happens. We have all of the answers to all of our questions. We just have to formulate the right questions. And sometimes that means reaching out to someone who can help us discover what those questions are. We move a little past, how's that working for you? And really dig deeper into the questions. So with that said, what are some really great questions other than, why do I react this way when this happens? Why do I feel this way when this happens? What are some super helpful questions that people can maybe start with if they grab a pen and paper and start exploring their whys?
Well, in terms of reactivity, if you find yourself reacting in a certain way to a certain event, the question that is most helpful, I think, in that scenario, if you want to understand why you react that way, is to ask yourself, when was the first time that I can recall reacting that way? What happened? What was the event where I can consciously recall having this reaction, whatever the reaction might be? Because very often the answer to that question will be the insight that you require in terms of what is the trigger that the reactivity is responding to. And like with everything else in life, once you know, right? You can't go back to ignorance. So now you know what's causing it, you can actually start dealing with cause. So in terms of reactivity, that's very helpful. In terms of symptoms in the body, something that you may be feeling, the question to ask there that brings the most light and insight is literally logical. Everything in the body has a very logical cause. It just makes sense. So when you understand some simple basics, like the left-hand side of my body is more feminine in terms of energy, and the right-hand side of my body is more masculine in terms of energy. If I cut my finger, for example, what are hands? What do hands do? What do hands represent? What are our thoughts about our hands? Hands represent what we're holding onto. Hands represent what we do. Hands represent what we can hold. Hands represent what I clutch, what I grasp, what's slipping through my fingers. Language is our clue to so much. What is a cut? What is blood? Ask the relevant questions. The answers are obvious. And it becomes very simple to understand. Blood is a sacrifice. Cut is a wound. There's something I'm not handling very well, and I believe I have to punish myself for it. I believe in the dynamic of a sacrifice. Of relationships and relationship dynamics. They do this, you say that. They then feel this way, and then that happens. To pattern. Get objective and draw it like a map. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. What is the dynamic? Understand the pattern. Start asking, what might the feeling be? What might the state be beneath the words I'm hearing or the actions I'm seeing? What emotions are playing out? That's a brilliant question, because when we understand where someone's coming from and we can see beyond their words and beyond their deeds, then we can actually address what the problem is instead of responding to what they're showing us and what they're saying. Respond to the need that isn't being met. That's why the pattern keeps repeating. So all those kinds of questions are very, very helpful questions if we're actually holding space for the curiosity of what the answer might be, if we're actually holding space to be present and confronted with what's going to have to change.
One of the most powerful questions for me in the last few years has been, how is this for me? Because so many times a situation can arise and you feel like it's an attack, or it's a little devastating in some way, or it's painful or hurtful in some way. But the truth is, it's just an experience. If we remove the judgment, if we remove our ideas, if we remove the bias, it's just another occurrence. It's just another opportunity that could be an invitation to ask questions and to explore what it is that you're reacting to. Like you said, how is this for me? Not to me. It's not happening to me. It's happening for me. How is this for me? What is this an opportunity to heal?
Yeah, what is the gift?
Yes.
Because something that's for you is a gift. What is its gift? There is always one.
Yes.
And if I can close with one of my favorite questions that I first received via the wonderful Neil Donald Walsh.
Mm.
And that is, in any situation where you don't know what to do, the thing to ask is, what would love do?
Mm.
But love in this context is in its pure balance. The love that is equal for the self and to the other. In that scenario of equal concern, what would love do? Because the answer to that question is always not only the highest insight, but the highest possible outcome.
Thank you for connecting with Light for Life. If you appreciate reminders, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can receive those notifications. If you would like to work with one of us, you can find our contact information in the About section of this channel.
Yes, thank you for connecting with Light for Life. Please share your insights, your questions, and your comments with us in the comment section below. We value your feedback. And we really hope that we will see you for our next episode. We upload one every Thursday. Until then, bye-bye and be joyful.
Until we connect again, we send you love and light.